taking that, starting a brand off of that, making like kind of how you familiarize like the whole direction of the fonts and everything like that. What has been like your neon moment within this exhibition and like the creation of this whole MCA collaboration?
That's a good question because it highlights the other, the difficult task that Samir and Michael had is they thought that they were just making one thing, and I make seven, seven in one expression, and they're all equally important. So like, I would be yelling or sending crazy messages, like if the label is wrong because I need it to say Bella and Kendall before my name, because that's super important that my friends who are the new, as much as my own career and sort of my own show, within that show, it's important that Bella and Kendall are seen for like the strong, independent women that they are, the new supermodel, and they are at the state of their art, and they're artists to me, and that they need to be in a museum too. It's not just me, or, on Yeezus CD, Jay-Z and Kanye names need to be before mine, even though it's not alphabetical order. Or, there's other artists, there's countless people. There's a subline, Theophilus London, A$AP Rocky. There's, the list goes on with the sort of like ushering in. Streetwear wasn't made by me. I'm just one kid that worked within it. There's brands that came before me. There's people that are out of business with a t-shirt brand, and I'm not, and that's a way for me to holistically be a part of my community. That's a part of the exhibit. It's like the generosity of, like, when I was on Michigan Avenue here, I was the, like, naive idiot that believed, like, if your name was on the label, it was just you making everything. That took me 8 years to get through, to like be like, oh, damn, that's not true. Like, I was, because I was trying to think of like, how do you do everything yourself? Like, how does that magic trick happen? And, obviously look at my work, like, I show my office for 2 seconds and then I get in trouble for that. But I was like, hey, these are real people. Like, I'm not going to pretend like Off-White is just me, like I do the work of 80 people in Italy, whatever. To finish off that is that now that we have this moment, the other neon shirts, or basically the other things that can happen off this, is there's probably 20 more exhibits that can happen at galleries. Now that if we can understand this work, in the art institutional concept, there's literally 20, if you look at the credits within that, there's probably 20 more people that are making things at that scale are important if we understand the outside world in the context that we organize art.
The young lady in the blue shirt, you had your hand up.
Levon with Expo's Art Magazine. Currently, we're seeing this explosion of hip-hop and architecture, and I'm wondering for youth engagement, like, what we can do to build resilience, especially from the trauma from disinvestment, from gentrification, and those things.
In terms of architecture, you're an architecture magazine?
It's an art magazine, but we cover
art.
Yeah.
Do you mean like how can, or say it again, say the question again?
I'm just wondering, like, with hip hop and architecture really merging, like what we can do to cultivate resilience in our youth, especially when they experience so much trauma.
My short answer, which is one of like the 7 pillars of the exhibit, was to, you'll see it on the wall, tourist and purist. That's my main device to sort of understand the sections of culture that move culture forward. You have a purist that's like, I know the whole art history of everything, like, you can't do this was done 20 times before you thought of it, like, this is the sort of pure institution, Then there's the tourist who's just someone who's bright-eyed, curiosity-driven, that has a lust for learning, and they support think to your point that the goal of the exhibit was to allow a tourist, someone who's like from the outside, to look at the everyday world and see the artistic value in the naturally occurring. You know, there's nothing more there's no better education than like for the kid that wants these blue pair of sneakers to just go to Foot Locker 2 blocks away, buy them for $60, paint them blue, and find a red tag at Home Depot, and all of a sudden you have a one-of-one version of my shoe. That's the brilliance that youth culture. That's what I would do, you know. And I think that's what this exhibit is about. That's what every sort of facet. It's having a dialogue, obviously, with what's in the institution, because these are institutional Nikes now. But it's to make that journey shorter for what I had to do to get to this stage in my career, make it 10 times shorter for those looking for that avenue. And then it's, you know, it's all cultures. I'm very much like a kumbaya. Everyone is important, not just one section of one part of the globe.
I think we've hit time, and because we really want you to get up into the exhibition and see it. Thank you, Virdil. Thank you, Samir.